It's a good day, a great day to be a horse racing fan, and there's just no such thing as sloppy track blues here on Aqueduct Insider, as we are off and running from the starting gate in overcast, windy Saturday at the Big A. But you know what? We're settled in. It's the fastest 30 minutes in all thoroughbred racing, and we're delighted you've stopped by to join us. It's Richard Migliore, Jason Blewitt, and just Mig. A Saturday, thoroughbred racing, they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand, even when the weather doesn't completely cooperate. But I thought the track was in really good shape today. Kudos to Glenn Kozak and his crew. And even though it was sloppy, I thought the track was pretty fair. Of course, horses don't take the kickback as well, so you maybe wanted to see horses that got clear. But I thought horses won from pretty much anywhere.
They put up a lot of money in the Pick 6 carryover, $17K in the kitty from yesterday. We had that $200,000 guaranteed late Pick 4. All in all, a 10-race Saturday card, which we want you to sit tight for, but there were some big names debuting regarding 2015 throughout the country, mainly Oaklawn Park, and we'll get you right out. We've got Untappable returning in the Azari.
Yeah, and it looks like she has dead aim here on Gold Medal Dancer, but Gold Medal Dancer still had a couple of moves left in her. Nice job by Louis Quinones, kind of milking that speed. And a horse that, you know, maybe needed a little bit of a race. Untappable ran well, but second best on the day.
Off the turn, let's get it out to Frank Miramati.
A very tough Gold Medal Dancer is fighting back. In fact, she puts her head back in front at the 8th pole, and Mufaja's bearing down in the center of the track. Gold Medal Dancer running the race of her life. Untappable is fully extended. Gold Medal Dancer will win the Azari. 3/4 of a length.
Untappable game, but had to settle for second behind Gold Medal Dancer first time out over a dirt track, labeled good. To my eyes, it looked more on the muddy side, but what did you think from Untappable in her seasonal debut?
I thought it was a good race. I mean, you would expect her to win this race, beat these horses, but in hindsight, Gold Medal Dancer ran really well in the prep for the Azari when she was part of a very hot pace and she hung around to the finish. So she wasn't a bad filly. Untappable more had a look to me of a filly that needed a race. I thought she handled the going fine.
And the first major goal for Untappable, they got the race under her belt today, the Grade 1 Apple Blossom. I would imagine she'll get that rematch with Gold Medal Dancer. And looking ahead to the Arkansas Derby races and that big festival late in the Oaklawn Park Spring Meet, what about a prep for the Oaklawn Park Handicap? We go out to Frank Miramati for the call of the Razorback, race number 8 on the program.
Right on Curlin is next. They're coming to the quarter pole. Race Day is the new leader. Midnight Hawk fully extended. 2.5 more to carve in third. Tapature on the outside. Right on Curlin with plenty of work to do. They're at the top of the stretch. Race Day, Midnight Hawk battling bravely on the inside. They'll come to the 8th pole together. Race Day just in front. Midnight Hawk a neck back second. 5 more to carve in third. Then it's Tapature in fourth. Race Day now starting to edge clear. Midnight Hawk will not surrender. It's Race Day and Midnight Hawk. Race Day will prevail narrowly. Midnight Hawk ran 2.
Pair of game grays in the mud. Race Day, Midnight Hawk. Neither one of them wanted to lose. A very good addition to the Razorback.
That was a very entertaining horse race. And yeah, these horses have the feel of maybe like the second tier, the second group of older horses, but they put on quite a show, and they both have an opportunity to step up. Obviously, Race Day has really responded to Todd Pletcher and thrown in a couple of really big performances.
And he was able to do that shipping away from Gulfstream Park because he had run a pair of back-to-back triple-digit buyers down at Gulfstream Park, but took his game, wet track, and got the job done over a decent horse in Midnight Hawk, and a little strength in the bench regarding the handicap division for Todd, who doesn't need it, but also has, of course, Constitution, who's a little banged up, and we'll see what the story is with Palace Malice.
Well, certainly, you know, if the Yankees had Murderer's Row, Todd Pletcher's got his equine version of Murderer's Row. Just one good horse after another. Let's give a little bit of love to Midnight Hawk, who was ultra game. It looked like Race Day was going to leave him at the top of the stretch, and he did not want to lose. That's what you want to see. 2 good horses throwing it down.
Fletcher Baffert 1-2 by a long ways in the Razorback, and as we tape this show, they're still a while away from the Rebel Stakes and the 3-year-old debut of American Pharoah, last year's 2-year-old champion. We will have that race in its entirety on the Racing Report Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on MSG+. But speaking of 3-year-olds, and we hope he comes back and puts in a good effort in a short time from now, what about Texas Red, who got his first official workout, breezing a very slow half at Santa Anita this morning in 51-2.
And that is an extremely slow half. I guess it is a place to start. I mean, obviously, they would still love to make the Kentucky Derby. He put in a great performance here in the San Vicente where he finished second, but it felt like a race he could build off of. Then he came up with a bit of a problem. I just think it's so hard to win classics, especially, or big races, when you don't have things go well, and you hope that if it starts to appear you can't make the Derby in good form, they would back off, because there's a lot of big races later in the year. I know there's only one Kentucky Derby, but you got to do what's right by the horse.
And he's a world-class talent. We hope everything's okay with Texas Red going forward, and we'll see how he does on April 4th in the Santa Anita Derby if they do indeed make that race. But here at the Big A, slop all day long. Travis Stone was calling the races, and the fog rolled in just as they were getting into the gate for our featured fourth race, the 75th running of the correction. Travis has got the call, and maybe you want to look down and take a look at Trackus as they make their way up the backstretch.
Air of Distinction is also there, too, as they move up the backstretch. And somewhere out there, a horse race is happening, and it looks like Bridgehampton, according to Trackus, has cleared the field and has built a nifty little lead heading for the half mile. That is Air of Distinction giving chase in second, with Isabel, the big favorite, tucked away toward the rail third. Vicky's Dancer went wide into that turn from fourth. Mom Duha and Expression are at the back, so it is Bridgehampton. Clear-cut lead around the fire turn is opened up by 3 and went pretty quick, too. 22 and 4/5 seconds. So Bridgehampton rounds the fire turn in front with Air of Distinction now moving into second. Isabel's coming under a ride in third as Vicky's Dancer swings wide in fourth. The half was 46 seconds flat. So they are in the stretch somewhere anyway, and it's Bridgehampton in front. I believe at the 8th pole, Bridgehampton is still in front, but here they come. Air of Distinction on the outside. Farther out, Mom Duha's putting in a late bid. And way out is Expression, so they come down to the line. Mom Duha, Expression, and Air of Distinction. Photo finish that looks like it went to Mom Duha. With Expression.
Artie, you had to be very pleased with Mom Duha off a year. Tomorrow would be a full year, but she put in some late run.
Unbelievable. She's a fighter. She's a racehorse. She knows where the wire is.
Well, now she's run her record to 5 wins from 6 starts, and it looks like she could probably stretch out the way she finishes her races. You think that'll happen in the future?
I mean, for sure, 7 or a one-turn mile, you'd look at it, for sure she's done nothing wrong. They did a great job in Florida. She wintered well, and she came up here ready.
I'm sure you guys would have been happy if she ran second or third with a good effort, so to win has to be especially a very good feeling.
Absolutely. We would have been happy with and getting a piece of anything. And now as an older filly going forward, we feel like we can compete.
Have you talked to Kieran yet?
Not yet. He's busy down in Florida saddling another one, but I'll be talking to him in a second.
Homebred filly by Daher. For Shadwell Farms, it is Mom Duha along with Irod Ortiz Jr. and a top assistant, Art Magnuson, winning that blanket finish in the fog over 2 other horses.
Yeah, filly that found a way to get it done, and she had a lot to overcome. The layoff, the muddy track, coming from off the pace, but she did it well. I wish there were a few questions I wish I had asked Artie. He's such an integral part of Kieran McLaughlin's team, been with him for well over 20 years, but he always knows what those names mean. Mom Duha, I would love to know what it means, so my bad, it's a question I should have asked.
All good, though. She ran well. It's good to have her back as a 4-year-old. We hope she can stick around and stay sound, because she's put up, and you noted it with Artie, an impressive resume. Yeah. Now 5 wins from 6 starts. Air of Distinction was right there, and we were talking during the race. Real tough beat for a filly that was just on a hard chase.
Yeah, real tough beat. You know, Bridgehampton is a filly that runs off. She doesn't relax. Some horses make the lead. They relax on the lead. She just runs through the bridle, runs as fast as she possibly can for as far as she can. When you're in the position that Air of Distinction was, you've got to sit still, wait till that horse comes back to you. Don't go after her, because she will come back to you. I think he'd probably like to have a do-over Fernando Yarrow.
Maybe get the rematch down the line once we get on the main track. But I'll tell you, the spotlight was on the girls today. We had the featured correction. And what about leg number 2 in Saturday's Pick 5, a group of 3-year-old filly maidens from the gate as we go back to Travis.
Yes, for Success breaks well. Spite's Fire reparty toward the rail. Calling Me Home on the outside. Up the backstretch. Here comes Yes, for Success in between horses. Plenty of company, though. Spite's Fire at the rail and Calling Me Home on the outside. These 3 cross the track by 5. And English Guarded advances up on the outside to be 4th. 3 parties back in 5th. Mott and Hester 6th toward the rail. Katai is wide and trailing in 7th as the field hits the far turn. Spite's Fire head-to-head with Yes for Success. Spite's Fire a narrow lead. Yes for Success keeping pace, though, through a quarter in 23 and 1/5 seconds. Calling Me Home couldn't keep up with those 2's 3 lengths back in 3rd. Martin Hester's winding up from 4th. English Garden is 5th. Reparty is back in 6th, about 6 or 7 lengths behind at this point. Katayas de Trailer as the field turns for home. And yes, Force Success has come on to put a nose in front of Spitesfire. Calling Me Home on the outside, and Mott and Hester, they're trying to close 3rd and 4th. English Garden 5th. They're inside the final 8th. Yes, Force Success is in front. Mott and Hester continuing to close on the outside. Yes, Force Success. Here comes Mott and Hester. Mott and Hester nails it before the wire. 3/4 of a length in front on the line. Yes.
Whoa, big off the pace run. First time out. Hey, her dad liked the wet track at Churchill Downs Super Saver in the Kentucky Derby, and Martin Hester had no problem with it at the Big A today.
Well, it really put in a nice run. You like to see that from a first-time starter. Take the kickback, work away off the rail. Nice ride by Angel Cruz. But we really got to give a lot of credit here to Dominic Scatino, who just does an amazing job. And he wins with first-time starters. I think people overlook how good he does with first-time starters. Nice to see Dominic. Actually, he had 2 winners today in the winner's circle, a guy who works very hard.
Right, all business. Only had 2 entered and won 2 races in the pick 5, and that was a good effort from Martin Hester. And a tough beat. Maggie talked about, yes, for success. She was sitting on a big race. She was going to run well. She did everything right but win.
She really did, and she got into a tussle with a very well-meant first-time starter, Spitesfire, and it took just enough starch out of her. But you got to give a lot of credit to the winner to overcome the kickback coming from the rail, first time out. Only special horses can do that.
And we get back to that. Kudos to Glenn Kozak and his crew. The intertrack was fair and even all day long. You could win on the lead. You could win closing from off the pace. And we'll look at a few other races from this sloppy Saturday when we come back.
Start your summer at the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. 3 days of exciting racing action. $10 million on the line. Live music, entertainment, food vendors, and more. Get your tickets today.
American Pharoah's running later today. Texas Red had his first breeze since coming back off the San Vicente. And I'll tell you, the 2015 Triple Crown is right around the corner. And how about the final jewel? The longest, the oldest leg. It's the 147th running of the Belmont Stakes. 3 days, 17 stakes, $10 million on the line. Tickets for both the Grandstand and Clubhouse are currently on sale at BelmontStakes.com. As the Big A faithful, Mig, well, I think they're probably looking out at the infield right now, not watching inside, but they've got their eyes on both Santa Anita and Gulfstream.
Yeah, they don't let too much slide by them. The sharpest fans in sports in New York, whether it's racing, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, baseball, New York fans, you can't pull the wool over their eyes.
And the Big A was buzzing today, packed wall to wall, place was jumping, and everybody was in an uproar as they broke from the gate in race number 6. Second leg of that pick 6 carryover as we get it back to Travis Stone for a solid group. These horses are pretty good. It's a 3-year-old state bred allowance, and again, we'll go upstairs.
Lead and opens up to lead by 2. Private Thrill comes through toward the inside to be second. Pierce's Prize is pushed on for speed third. Global Positioning is out in 4th. Drama King is in behind them from 5th. All Gold 6th. All his numbers at the back early. Chasing Breaking the Fever, who ripped away from the pack to a 2-length lead and heads for the fire turn run well clear. So it is Breaking the Fever onto that far turn. Pierce's Prize giving chase at a second. Global Positioning revs up on the outside, now 3rd. Private Thrills back 4th toward the rail. Drama King angles toward the outside 5th. All his number and All Gold at the back 22 and 4. Breaking the Fever fleet-footed round the far turn with a 3-length lead. Global Positioning is now a clear second off the turn. Drama King comes wide off the turn for 3rd. Private Thrill cut the corner in 4th. Heading for the final furlong. Breaking the Fever is trying to go gate to wire, still in front. Global Positioning is still second. Ever so closer, though. 16th out. Breaking the Fever still there. Global Positioning's running out of time. Drama King on the outside. Here comes the wire. Breaking the Fever will go all the way. A length and a half in the end. Global Positioning couldn't get by.
Breaking the Fever broke from the gate, never looked back. A hustling Oscar Gomez and a hard-trying real overachiever from Finger Lakes.
Yeah, this horse runs hard every time. He wants to be a part of the pace. He's a little bit difficult to ride. He doesn't look like he's the easiest horse to steer. Oscar Gomez obviously gets along with him. And nice to see the breeds. It's a family affair. Get the money in a $57,000 pot.
Big pot for this guy who's maybe a cut below some of the better New York-bred 3-year-old sprinters, but we appreciate having the breeds here all winter. They support the product. They do run a fair amount of horses on the inner track, and it's nice seeing them, I mean, bottom line, taking down a big race on a Saturday.
Well, and they own, train, and bred this horse, so it's really keeping it in the family. It's nice to see.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on to the Saturday Pick 7. We're throwing it back to an old-school Breeders' Cup bet. We've got the calls of 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10 as we see what transpired in both the Pick 5 and the rest of the Pick 6 carryover.
Now third off the turn. Ken Ketchmanow's back and forth. The rest have to get going. Down to the final furlong. Harlan's Hello still the leader by 3. Chris and Laurie's Posse, Grand Strand stymied toward the rail. King Dixie has rallied to be 4th and is about to be 3rd. Final 16th. Harlan's Hello is a bit tired up top. King Dixie a final try. Here comes the wire. Harlan's Hello, King Dixie, Harlan's Hello. Wire to wire. King Dixie ZZ after that sharp start, turning for home with a 4-length lead. Shot to Win is getting closer, though. Here comes Shot to Win, and Grandpa Len is closing, too. And on the far outside, Money Machine with a late bid. Agma's got a shot as well. Furlong to go. Shot to Win has come on to take the lead. Grandpa Len and Money Machine on the outside, continuing to close. Shot to Win, Money Machine, Grandpa Len. Here's the wire. Shot to Win. 3/4 of a length on the line. Money Machine, good effort, second. Grandpa Len was 3rd. Maybe Agma got 4th. Ford is off the turn with a 5-length lead. 100% closing in from 2nd. Wildham is back in 3rd. A Fleet's Edge is 4th. The rest have to get going. 16th out. Francis Freud with a 2-length lead. 100% continuing to close. Is getting closer. So is the wire. Francis Freud, 100%. Francis Freud got there. Half-length winner. 100% was 2nd. Wildham was 3rd. Farther back, the Fleet's Edge might have got 4th. Round from 5th. The field that's the top of the stretch. Lane Allen on the outside, up for a narrow lead. Boss Daddy, 8 cents, trying to squeeze through toward the rail. Key in motion down the center of the track, and then Key C'est Moi. 8th pole now. Lane Allen has come away with the lead and has kicked away to lead by 2. 8 cents down inside with Boss Daddy. Mineral Water from way behind, but way too late to catch Lane Allen, the 2-length winner. Lane Allen first, 8 cents was 2nd. Boss Daddy was 3rd. Mineral Water and Ice Wagon coming under the whip in 3rd as the field hits the top of the stretch. And with that far turn move, Sea Raven has come on to take the lead. Huge Asset's going to fight by the 8th pole, though. And then it's Prophet's Cat toward the rail, Sunny Cider, and Majestic Guy. Heading into the final furlong, Sea Raven has overtaken Huge Asset and has opened up a length and a half. Meanwhile, from the back of the pack, Repent Twice is flying down the center of the track. Sea Raven, Repent Twice. Sea Raven gets there. Sea Raven the winner, Repent Twice from nowhere to be 2nd. Huge Asset was 3rd. Hope is launching a rally but is wide off the turn. Perfect American is trying to hold on. Here comes Retire 55 on the curve and very tight as these 3 come together furlong out. Farther back, Beetle Boots and Point Hope as the field passes the 8th pole where Retire 55 has taken over and is opening up to lead by 2 as they come down to the line. Perfect American, and here comes Point Hope. Point Hope with a good finish but won't get to Retire 55. 3/4 of a length first on the wire. Then it's back to Artemis Paperboy as the field that's the top of the stretch. And it is Duke of the City who comes off the turn with the lead. Becker's Galaxy running a good race 2nd and toward the rail. Love to Run has given it up late. Then it's Tug of War on the outside. 8th pole and Duke of the City is clear by 2. Becker's Galaxy is going to switch back outside to try and put in a late bid. But in the meanwhile, Duke of the City has kicked away to a 3-length lead. Becker's Galaxy will be 2nd to Duke of the City.
Duke of the City, king by a lot in the last race, finishing off a Pick 6 carryover day that paid just under $16,000. A good job for those that hit it, and we hope you did. But let's get back. And it was not, Mig, a card dominated by short-priced horses, but one of only 3 winning favorites today, Sea Raven, in race number 7, got the money for Leah Giamatti, or I think it was race number 8
race
at 7
number 8,
5.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah,
7 5.
Kind of made that big sweeping run around the turn, hit the front. And I just want you to pay attention to this, Jason. When he hits the front, you're going to see his ears start to come up. And that's when a horse is telling you he's losing focus. And he's going to spot the tire tracks where they pull the gate from. And you're going to see right here, he starts wiggling them. When he gets after him, Israel Rodriguez with the whip, he keeps his attention. But right in here, you can see right there, he kind of stepped over the track, them ears come up. And he got after him again left-handed. This horse won well on the day because I thought he made a pretty bold middle move and continued on.
Moved way early in this race and continued on. He was just on the sheer talent scale, much the best in race number 8. We'll see how he does stepping up to the State Bred 2 other than for a very good trainer in Leah Giamatti. And I did misspeak a few moments ago. 2 winning favorites, not 3 today.
Okay.
Some prices ruled the afternoon, but the pick 6 was hit. We like the job Leah does. And how about the riders? About the jockey standings, in fact, as we look at a couple of young riders who each had a 2-win day.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see 2 apprentices get a couple of wins with Angel Cruz and Israel Rodriguez. And the Ortiz brothers kind of holding that 7-win gap between them, Jose and Irad. And Manny Franco back on track, coming back after suspension. And, of course, we've talked a lot about Junior Alvarado and how well he's ridden all winter.
He's been dialed in. He's really ridden terrifically since coming back off injury. David Jacobson had a couple of short-priced horses go down in flames earlier in the day, but Duke of the City pulled it out at around 7-5 in the nightcap.
And got the money under the aforementioned Angel Cruz, and he keeps that 10-win advantage over Linda Rice and Gary Gullo, Rudy Rodriguez, who's on suspension, and Todd Pletcher having a strong winter, not just in Florida, but in New York as well.
Has a big string, knows where to place his horses. Byron Hughes, his New York assistant, does an excellent job, and David Jacobson, your leading trainer. I'll be curious in the 3rd segment to hear what you think of a Rapoli horse running in tomorrow's co-featured or featured Cicada, turning back and over-prepared. More on her in a few moments. What about the claims? A wet track? Were they wheeling and dealing in the racing office? A 4-way shake for Duke of the City, who won for David Jacobson, but is going home to somebody's new barn tonight.
Yeah, Danny Gargan wins the shake, and he'll have dinner in Danny Gargan's barn. But he was a pretty powerful winner, I thought, and looks like he's well worth the $10,000
right.
paid for him.
And 3 claims today, 2 of which were taken out of the Jacobson barn, along with Grandstrand, who disappointed with a tough inside trip in today's first race. A non-stakeless Sunday, that's right, 3-year-old fillies take the center stage tomorrow in the Cicada. We will talk about it when we come back here on Aqueduct Insider. High cruising speed as we hit the home stretch on the show as the Big A train rolls into Aqueduct Racetrack. Of course, the only racetrack in the New York metropolitan area that has a subway stop right outside.
It makes it easy and convenient. You don't even have to go outside. You can just come over that walkway by the casino right into the building.
Building, the inside, the outside, they both look great. Please join us here as the winter meet continues to wind down, and a Sunday card, in fact, highlighted by the Cicada, which we'll get to in just a second. We go back to Market Conduct, who's a major player in Sunday's 3rd, a state-bred non-winners of 1 allowance.
Yeah, first sighting of him since the Rempson, where he was well beaten and obviously very much tougher company. I just find it interesting, though. He's only really run 6 furlongs once. He won there. He ran well going 7. And he's been on the steady stretch out. I still want to see him win around 2 turns.
And a win today for Rick Violet at race number 9 with Retire 55. 2 major players in the races we're previewing, beginning with Lehigh 5.
A very impressive maiden winner, first time out. Essentially went wire to wire, drew off impressively. But I always think it's a big deal to go from maidens to against winners, from 6 furlongs to 2 turns. It's throwing a lot at a horse, and he's going to take a lot of money, but I think he's vulnerable.
3 and up the condition, so you've got some youngsters against some of the older horses. Is it an edge with the 4-year-old Giant in the Mood running against a bunch of 3-year-olds?
Well, this is actually who I like. I mean, I know he's having to give away weight to the 3-year-olds, but he's got so much foundation. He's got races that are fast enough, and the 2 turns isn't a problem. I think he's answered more questions than the younger horses, and you might get a better price.
Bruce Brown, Giant in the Moonlight. Post number 4, Manny Franco, state bred by Giants Causeway. Pretty nice. We had one finish second today by Malibu Moon. But the 3-year-old fillies are indeed where it's at. Race number 8, a stake position late in the card. We like that a lot. 100K on the line. And let's get to a Noble and a Beauty for Len Riggio. This is a filly who was very good in both starts of 2.
Yeah, first time out, was in front, kind of got to wander and ducking and dodging. Much more professional in her second start when she was nosed out here and ran very gamely. I thought this was a big, strong performance, and I think she projects to get the similar kind of trip where she'll be stalking from the outside.
And stalking hard to stay, not go, who had that blazing speed and upsetting the Franklin Square, and she'll clearly get tested for class tomorrow.
She will, but I think she's fast enough, and I don't see anybody in this race that can entertain her early. And from the inside post, she's committed to going to the lead. I think she'll be in front, and I think she's going to be tough to run down. She did have some breathing problems that they got sorted out, and this was her first race in several months where they've got that figured out, I think she's the horse to beat. They're going to have to run her down.
A few different plot lines. She'll have Angel Arroyo from that inside post and a pair of Gustavo Rodriguez trained horses, an Eloquent Tribute who's dropping back in the orange cap on the rail, and the winner, Lindsay's Farn, who are both dropping out of the Marshuas River down in Maryland.
I mean, I would assume that Eloquent Tribute's going to show more speed. I just don't think she's fast enough to entertain, hard to stay, not go, although if they're used properly, it could be an interesting entry.
Over-prepared from the outside, do you give her a look turning back and maybe sprinting is what she wants to do?
I do give her a look, and if you go back, Over-Prepared was the best horse in the stake in Maryland, the Smart Halo, where she was shut off, no chance, and still finished with big interest. I think the blinkers on with the foundation of going long, it's going to intensify her late turn of foot.
The Zacata's late in the card. What about the pick 5, early pick 4? Here to get us up to speed, Andy and Maggie.
Race 5 on Sunday appears to have plenty of speed sign on paper. And there's only one of the speeds I would be looking to use in there. But what I really want is to bet a closer. And I like the 6, Wild Finish, a horse who last time out met Tougher and was buried down in a gold rail. Tougher horses the time before that and actually ran pretty well when behind then stablemate Carolinian, who makes start for new connections in this race. Gets more speed today. And I think that Wild Finish is a better closer than the 4 Reggie D. And the price should be pretty fair. I'm hoping that Wild Finish can pick up the pieces in the 5th race, and I'm going to use him in the exacta with the 7, Flying Zealous. But it's the 6, Wild Finish for me as we head out to Maggie.
Thanks, Andy. Here in the Misty Paddock for today's Insider, we'll take a look at Sunday's card race number 3. It's a state-bred allowance going the 1.70 and kind of a matchup between 2 interesting and talented 3-year-olds. And while Lehigh 5, he'll try to stretch it out in his second start after an impressive win of over 10 lengths in his debut, and he has the pedigree to do so. I'm more interested in number 2. That is Market Conduct, who comes back off of a layoff after a disappointing but yet up against it kind of trip in the Grade 2 Remsen. He's facing New York breds once again, and I really felt prior to going on the bench, he had really kind of physically filled out and met his true potential. So I think coming back, getting an easier spot, I think this horse will be very dangerous, and plus he is the one that's proven at this kind of distance. So it's Market Conduct for your Paddock Insider today. Guys, back to you.
Winners galore for the dynamic duo tomorrow afternoon as we set sail from the Manhattan Terrace, the Empire State Building, shrouded in fog. That'll do it for this Saturday edition of Aqueduct Insider. Got to say, let's go Rangers up in Buffalo, and the Mig and I see you right here tomorrow night on MSG+.